You would always want to be on the side of having good credit.
Do you think it pays to have good credit? So many home buyers wonder if they should contact a realtor first or a loan officer. They also wonder, what is the minimum credit score to even be approved for a home? So many of our clients here at Sturgis Credit Repair also wonder the same thing. So me personally, I put in the work, had someone help find me the best realtor available to answer all of these questions for you. I want to welcome Jamie Owen, who serves the Phoenix, Arizona Valley. Thank you so much for joining this episode and kind of helping out our audience a little bit with a lot of home buying questions that they have. So if you're ready, I'm ready. How about that?
Yeah, 100%. First question, do you go by Christopher? Chris is
Either or.
either or.
Everyone nowadays just call me Chris, so I just stick with it.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yep.
I'm so excited to be here.
Absolutely. So I am eventually going to give a whole entire background of myself as we go through some of these questions and topics here. But as a quick summary, just to catch you up on a few things, I help a lot of people improve their credit scores, prepare them for home buying. A lot of people don't understand how credit card utilization can damage their scores, what to do with some of the negative accounts. They have the option to dispute those, help them look for errors, see if they can be verified. If those items are deleted, then of course, clearly their scores go up. Over the last 7 years, I have partnered with a ton of loan officers and vice versa. They send me clients, I send them clients. So over the last few years, I have built a huge network with those people that are in that industry. I am originally from Louisiana, and I actually just moved out here to the Phoenix area, I want to say maybe 7 months ago. So I'm steadily trying to connect with new realtors, new loan officers, and I see you and Michaela been chatting back and forth last week. So I definitely thank you for joining this episode because I've had the podcast, I want to say for 3, 4 years now. It wasn't something as a business owner, it wasn't something that I initially wanted to do, as far as extra work, because I'm like, look, I'm
Hmm.
busy enough. So the podcast, I'm like, well, a lot of people don't understand credit. They don't understand that they need to have everything checked off before they go and apply for a mortgage loan and things like that. So I'm like, look, you know what? I'm just going to make these free credit educational videos. And some of the videos have gotten a lot of views, and people actually been reaching out to me directly to join the podcast. I'm not sure if you checked out some of the previous guests or not, but the
Hmm.
last guy, he was a tax guy or some type of popular guy on Instagram. I didn't know who he was, but I mean, his video got like 400,000 views just from like a short clip or something. I'm like, wow, this is
Hmm.
very helpful for a lot of people. So let's start with you, Jamie. So how long have you been a realtor? Clearly you're in the Phoenix area. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Jamie Owen. I was actually born and raised in Utah.
Okay.
So we moved to Arizona in 2023. I'm married, I have 3 kids, and we love to travel. And so one of the places we love to travel here, Arizona. It's awesome, right? It's 70, 80 degrees in January. So who doesn't want to live in Arizona? Um, so yeah, I'm a licensed realtor here in the Phoenix Metro. I got my start in real estate back in 2015. I started as a property manager, though. I was a 19-year-old running a little rundown apartment complex in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Yep.
I moved up. I've seen a lot of things over the years: low income housing, tax credit property, multifamily properties, single family homes. Like I've seen a lot. But they all had something in common for me. And that was helping people get into a new living situation.
Mm,
For whatever reason, they were leaving one situation and wanted something different. And I was able to facilitate that for them. And it's an awesome feeling on moving day when you give them the keys
yep.
and their family's there, they're smiling, they're happy. Like that feeling is incredible.
All right.
So I eventually wanted to take it to the next level, and I moved into real estate sales and helping people achieve their goals of home ownership. So I got licensed in 2024, and I've been working as a realtor here in the Phoenix Valley, and I absolutely love helping people move here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm one of those people, like I said, who just moved out here. And honestly, I didn't realize Phoenix was such a big area to move into. There's so many different suburbs and parts of Phoenix. Initially, when I moved here, I'm more of a city guy. I don't care about the mountains and the reptiles and scorpions and all of that crazy stuff. So my wife, she's more of a nature person. She loves the mountain views. So I'm like, look,
Hmm.
there's a few places we can look into. Me initially, like I said, we're both from Louisiana. Initially, I was looking at places like Florida or Dallas, Texas, and things like that. My wife
Hmm.
was like, no, there's no scenery there. So we came out to Phoenix, and I'm like, man, it's pretty nice out here. It's amazing. So we've been loving it ever since. So the first topic, and this is something that clients of mine actually come to me first, and they are very curious on this topic. And I see a lot of people argue online about this topic. As a consumer who is in the market to buy their first home or maybe their second home, should they contact a realtor first or a loan officer first? Who should they go to?
You know what? That's a great question. I get that a lot too. The short answer is it depends. A realtor might tell you to find a realtor first. A loan officer might say find a loan officer first.
Yep.
So I mean, like, which came first, right? The chicken or the egg?
Right.
And the short answer is you need a realtor and you'll likely need a lender. And
Mhm.
truly, we both go hand in hand. In an ideal situation, we are working harmoniously together. We're both critical pieces in a real estate transaction. So the long answer I'm going to tell you is it just depends on what stage of the process you're at, right? So if you don't know your credit score, you don't know, what monthly payment you're looking for, or what you can afford, getting into a lender is crucial.
Yeah.
Talking to a realtor is going to help you understand the market. So it's
Mhm.
going to help you understand home values, start getting an idea of the type of home that you're looking for. And it depends on who you trust. So I cannot emphasize this enough. It is so important finding somebody that you are comfortable with and can speak freely with and trust. And there's untrustworthy people in every industry,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But in real estate too, and you're making a big purchase. And so I hate seeing people being taken advantage of. So my advice, when you're looking for a realtor, would be to get a personal recommendation from someone that has used a realtor before. Not like, oh yeah, my sister or my
Yeah.
friend, like they're a realtor, because I'm sure they're great, but you want to talk to somebody that's used that realtor before and had a
Right.
good experience. So talk to that realtor, meet with them, see how you feel. If it feels like a great fit, great, move forward. If it
Yep.
doesn't, talk to somebody else. There's a million realtors out there that want to talk to you.
For sure.
Find somebody, like I said, that's a good fit. And once you have that realtor, then they can refer you to a lender. So
Okay.
most realtors have a few lenders that they've worked with before. For example, like with my loan officers, we have a great working relationship. I know they're not going to drop the ball. I know they're going to take care of my clients and they are going to get the job done. So
Right.
when someone comes to me and I meet with them, I hear their story, I hear their goals, I start making a plan in my head. How are we going to achieve that goal? And a part of that plan is finding a lender that can get them a pre-approval and then eventually a successfully underwritten loan,
Yep.
right? And so typically when I meet someone, I have a good idea of which lender I want to refer them to just based on their personality and their, where they're at in life and their long-term goals.
Absolutely. Do you, and I know this question is mainly, I guess, more of a personal preference, depending on how busy someone may be, the type of clientele that some realtors, usually want to attract. Do you prefer your clients to already be pre-qualified before they even dial your number or email you? What is your opinion on that?
Yeah, for sure. No, I don't. And that might ruffle a little bit of feathers. I know
Yeah.
every realtor has their preference,
Yep.
but I want to talk to you no matter what stage you're at. I value my time, but I do not think that my time is too valuable to meet with someone that isn't ready to make an offer today.
Yep.
I still want to hear your long term goals. I still want to help answer your questions. And like I said, that trust is so important. So I want to start building that relationship with you today. So then when you are ready to buy a house, we have that foundation of trust with each other. That being said, I think it's highly, highly important to be pre-qualified before we
Yeah,
start looking at homes.
for sure.
Um, I need to know what budget we're working with.
Yeah.
And the last thing I want is for you to start looking at like $400,000 homes and then your pre-approval comes back at 350. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Because when I was right outside of the New Orleans area in Louisiana, I had about three realtors that I had I guess I would say a personal slash business connection with or relationship with. And there were some clients who went from the 500s to maybe the mid 600s. And at the time, they just did not want to run their credit or whatever, which most loan officer these days, they understand that. And they actually have systems to do a soft credit pool. It's just, just for pre-qualification purposes, just to get a general idea, right, before it goes
Mm-hmm.
into underwriting. So there were actually two realtors that would not allow me to refer my clients to them if they didn't have the hard pre-qualification. And I'm like, look, I can get that, but at least make me look somewhat more rewarding by at least allowing me to refer them to you before they kind of get that real pre-qualification. Their scores are in the mid 600s. I'm pretty sure they won't have any issues, but it'll just make
Mm-hmm.
me look better if I can just hand them over to you. So there was some, not really arguments, but some disagreements with some realtors, how they do things like just a simple, hey, what area are you looking in? What's your ideal price range? Are you looking for a new build? Are you looking for a resale home? Do you have a home that you currently have to sell before you move? So
Mm-hmm.
just things like that is something that I definitely would have appreciated. But again, that's their business. I can't control how they grab their clientele. And I get that. So this leads me to my next question, which may be a little outside of what you actually do. Of course, your job is to help the family find a perfect home for them. But I'm sure you see a lot of people's or hear a lot of people's credit score situations. What is your ideal minimum credit score requirement when it comes to buying a home? Where should that first time home buyer be? If they're like, oh, I want to buy a home in the next year, do you think they are okay in the 550 range, 650 range? Do they automatically need a 700 plus? What is your idea based on your connection or relationship with your loan officer that you deal with?
Yeah, for sure. That's a great question. And
Mhm.
being in property management, I was the one pulling those credits and looking at that because I have the same concern as a
Yeah.
property manager. Are you going to be able to pay me rent? Right.
Mhm.
So, like you said, a loan officer, they're going to do that deep dive and they're going to tell you about all the loan programs, the credit minimums, the requirements. Like, for example, I know with an FHA loan, you can actually have a minimum of 500 credit score,
Oh, wow.
but you have to put 10% down instead of that 3.5% that the FHA is known for. So, like I said, loan officer, they're going to do that deep dive.
Hmm.
Plus, on top of the loan program requirements, each lender will also have their own requirements, and those are typically even more strict.
Right.
So, from my experience and perspective as a realtor, I would say ideally a minimum of about the mid sixes
Yep.
is going to feel pretty good. The higher, the better, of course, because, as you know, credit scores show that you have that history of on time payments, and the higher your score is likely going to score you a better interest rate, which
Right.
will then lower your monthly payment. So for me, a great credit score is going to be in the 700s or higher.
Yeah. Just to eliminate any type of crazy stipulations. And it just makes the whole process easy. It doesn't matter which side of the table that you're on. If you're on the realtor side or if you're on the consumer side, no one wants to go through underwriting and then weeks before closing, there's a roadblock. I just
Mhm.
hate it. Personally, I never had to go through it, thankfully, but I do have a ton of clients that they're like, hey, Chris, I close in 4 weeks. And then 2 weeks come along and they're like, hey, I couldn't do it anymore. I'm like, what happened? So, having that credit score being 700 plus definitely helps out a whole lot more than being in the 600s. Jamie, this is going to translate more from credit to more towards home ownership or home buying from here. So the whole
Mhm.
credit talk, I think we're just about done with that. So as far as home buying, what most of our audience are actually listening to this for people that, and you probably hear this a lot, it's funny. So for people who are scared of interest rates, people that we're waiting for the market to crash for the last 10 million years since the rates went up to 6, 7%, which it looks like they're starting to go down now. What is
Mhm.
your opinion on these people that are like, oh, I want to buy a home, but I'm not going to buy right now. I'm waiting for this so-called market to blow up and crash, and then the rates are going to go back to 3%, 2% like it was in 2019. Do you think that's really
Mhm.
going to happen, or are these people just waiting for something that doesn't exist?
Yeah, I get it. It's hard to jump into a home purchase when you see rates in the fives and sixes and you know what they once were, right? That's
Yeah,
hard for anybody. Here's the thing, like, how do you know the market is going to crash? Like, tell me what indications are happening that are telling these people that home values are going to plummet, that interest rates are going to plummet.
yeah,
Because I'm not going to live my life and I'm not going to advise my clients to live their life based on this what if scenario, right?
right.
I mean, when I bought my home in 2024, it was in the 7% range.
Yeah.
But any loan officer can tell you a lot of regulations went into place after that crash of '08 to prevent a crash from ever happening again.
Hmm.
So, I mean, if you want to buy a home this month, it's a 5.99% interest rate and you have options out there. So, if the rates go down, you always have the option to refi. So you can refinance your loan. So, for example, we did that a few years back. We had a home, it was 4.25%.
Yep.
And down the road, we refi and it was in the low threes. And that saved us
Yeah.
a few $100s per month.
Yeah, for sure.
Another benefit, too, is if you put less than 20% down payment, you're going to be paying what's called mortgage insurance, and that's usually a few hundred a month. And so if you refi down the road and you have equity in your home now that's more than 20%, a
Mm,
good loan officer is going to drop that mortgage insurance payment, and suddenly not only are you getting a lower interest rate, but you're now paying a few hundred less on mortgage insurance.
right.
So there's that as option one is refinancing. Option two is if you have a loan officer that's creative. I mean, they can get really creative with some of their financing options. Like, I don't know
Mm,
if everybody knows this out here, but you can use funds to buy down your interest rate. And in this market, sellers will even pay that for you. So
yeah.
you can ask for a seller concession. It's a little credit that sellers will give you. And you can use that for a number of things. You can use that to buy down your rate. You
Hmm.
can use that towards closing costs. You can prepay your HOA dues, but you can buy these points that will buy down your mortgage rate. Additionally, if you want a new construction home, oof, they are advertising heavy right now. They
Yep.
have incentives. They want you walking in that door, buying that new construction home. A lot of times that our purchasing power goes up, we
Hmm.
can afford a higher value home that's new construction because of these incentives. They're
Yep.
offering, 3.5, 2.99% interest rates. Yeah, you took advantage of that.
Yep.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
They're unbeatable sometimes. And I
Yep.
feel bad for some of these resale homes because an individual seller can't always compete with these new construction homes.
Yeah.
So you can get really creative with your own loan officer, or if you use these like preferred lenders of
Hmm.
the home builders, you can get some really good incentives for your interest rate. Home builders will even throw in their own incentive towards
Yep.
closing costs. They'll offer backyard packages,
Yep.
appliance packages. They want you walking in the door. And so, yeah, I mean, if you're living in your parents' house, sure, maybe save some money out. But if you're renting, stop paying your landlord and pay yourself. Get that
There you go.
equity in your home. And you know what? Like, maybe you've heard this quote, Chris, but it's a little cliche, but the best time to buy a home was 5 years ago. The
Yeah.
second best time to buy a home is today.
Yep.
I
Or now.
stand by
Yep.
that.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. It's crazy you went towards the situation with the new bills, because I was actually going to bring that up next, because a lot of people wonder, hey, what is best between a new build and a resale? Me personally, which I'm probably wrong, I'm not a home builder or anything, but I think the older homes or the resale homes, eventually at one point they were considered a new build too. But yes, maybe homes that were built 20 years ago. They may be stronger, they may be built better. But for me, for my situation, especially moving from out of state, I'm going towards having a home warranty, something that is brand new. I don't have to move across
Mm-hmm.
the country 1,300 miles and then have to worry about repairs. So, and
Mm-hmm.
then the closing costs and the interest rate got me. So I'm like, man, this is a no brainer for me to go with. I think it was Meritage, however you pronounce
Mm-hmm.
it. But I went with one of their new builds, and I have a 2,600 square foot home, and I am very pleased with it. No issues yet. I have a lot of buddies of mine that are like, hey, do not get a new build. They're built like crap. You're going to have issues with it. And I'm like, look,
Mm-hmm.
if it does, it has a warranty. I can get an inspection, things like that. I'm really not going to have any concerns. So, but yeah, I'm loving it. Let me ask you this. I want to say maybe 2 or 3 episodes ago, and like I said, I'm having a lot of people reach out to me. I'm actually looking at my email now. I have another guest scheduled for next week who just randomly found the podcast. But Mr. Tim Street, great guy. I love my conversation with him. In fact, he has his own show, and I'm scheduled to be on there live on Facebook this Friday on the 6th. I believe is at noon Central Time. But he's a real great guy. I can't remember he's a ex-realtor or maybe he still is a realtor, but he started his own business and is doing great. But he's selling a digital product for people to sell their own home by owner. So his business is called FISBO. So
Mm-hmm.
FSBO, FISBO. So it kind of threw me off because when he introduced himself to me, he was a realtor. But then when we got maybe 20 minutes into the episode, I'm like, wait, you're saying stuff to, I guess, put you out of business as a realtor, I would assume. But he's pretty much teaching people that you should sell your own home. It's easy. You can save thousands of dollars. And it's crazy because when I listed my home on the market, well, my realtor listed my home in Louisiana,
Mm-hmm.
I had two separate friends who called me because I've shared it on Facebook and stuff like that. They're like, man, you're stupid. You need to just get rid of the realtor. Dude, you can save thousands of dollars. All you have to do is find someone to put it on MLS, and it's a flat fee, and man, you don't have to pay 15 grand to a realtor. And I'm like, well, look, first of all, I own a service-based business. I understand that it's a convenience thing. I cannot operate a business 24/7 and then have to worry about trying to get offers and home showings and things like that. I'm just too busy throughout the day. That's what a service is for. And
Mm-hmm.
Tim, he was like, hey, even though you own a business, man, you still could have sold your home without a realtor. And I'm like, that is crazy coming from a realtor. So, I don't know if he's trying to transition from being a realtor and just having this digital product and doing that full time. Like I say, he's a great guy. He's doing very well with it. But it just feels like if you're good at providing a service, I would not mind paying for it. So, you, Jamie, being a realtor,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure not only do you help people find a home, but you also help people sell their home. What are some of the benefits that homeowners get by using a realtor to list their home, answer offers? Do you know how to price their home? Because at the end of the day, it's not about just paying someone just to list their home. It's more of a service outside of that. So tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually get this question a lot, Chris. I'm meeting with somebody next week that's asking me the same thing. Like, I want to do this for sale by owner thing,
Yep.
but, like, help me out. And so
Yep.
I'm going to tell you what I'm going to tell them.
Yep.
And I get it. Like, a lot of people have been burned by a realtor that shows up, does the bare minimum,
Mhm.
or maybe not even that, and then shows up at the end of the deal, collects their commission check, and walks away. So I get it that they want to take
Mm.
things into their own hands and do the for sale by owner thing. And you know what? Like, I've talked to people that have done for sale by owner, and I hear both ends of the spectrum. I hear the people that had success say they'll do it again. And I talked to the people that said it was horrible. It was so stressful and it took forever. And then they ended up listing with a realtor anyways. And then
Hmm.
they're out all that time and all that money.
Wow.
So I I want to touch on the people that had the success, right? Because they at least are perceiving that it was successful. I mean, you don't know what you don't know, right? So if a buyer's agent walks up to the transaction and takes advantage of you, but you don't realize you're being taken advantage of, that would still seem like a success for that person. So let me touch on some of those benefits. So first, I mean, you have the pre-listing thing. So when I get a listing, I'm going to walk over with you, and we're going to go through your home, and I will mention repairs that are going to increase your home value and changes that aren't. And a lot of people think, hey, I put $50,000 into this home, so my home value is now going to increase $50,000, and that's not the case. And so I want to talk to you and tell you, hey, this is going to increase that value. And frankly, that's not something you're going to find on Pinterest. Like, this is something that varies from city to city, sometimes even neighborhood to neighborhood. Right. And so an experienced realtor is going to know that. So homes, and you mentioned this, right, is the MLS, right? People want their homes seen, but homes listed with a realtor end up selling. I'm curious your thoughts. How much more do you think? I looked up this stat last night. How much more do you think homes end up selling for if you go with an agent versus for sale by owner?
So when I was looking for homes in the Phoenix area before I found the new builds, when I went to Zillow, I actually selected homes presented by a realtor or a realty agency. So I actually unchecked the box that said, for sale by owner or listed by owner, because I thought maybe those were older properties or maybe something is wrong with it. This is way before I even got into detailed learning that, people can sell their home on their own and stuff like that. But me as a consumer, 7 months ago, when I was in the market, I literally unchecked the box that said listing for sale by owner. So that should tell you something there.
Yeah. So I'll tell you right now, I looked up the stat through the National Association of Realtors. They conducted a survey, and it's $40,000 to $50,000 more that you get as a homeowner if you sell with a realtor.
Oh, wow.
And I'm going to tell you right now, on a $500,000 home, my 3% commission is less than that.
Yeah,
quite a bit.
for sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's all pre-listing stuff. Then you actually list the home, you put it on the MLS. But that's not where it ends for me as your realtor. I'm marketing constantly. I'm talking to my friends in my networking circle. Hey, do you guys have buyers? I have this home. Would they like it? Do they want it? I go to my brokerage meeting. I say, hey, guys, I have this home. Do you want it? Do you have buyers? I look at my buyers. I say, hey, guys, I have this home. Do you want to go take a look at it? And frankly, like, it's all, to who you're marketing to. I'm marketing to buyers. Other people, when they do for sale by owner, they're marketing to their neighbors, and maybe there's an interested party there, but yeah, I'm marketing directly to the consumer. And so I think that's a really important aspect, is that I'm not just posting it on the MLS, but I'm marketing actively for this home. And frankly, as a realtor, if I see it on the MLS, I'm going to present it to my buyers. But unless my buyer specifically shows me a for sale by owner home, it's not even coming across my desk as an option.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Well, and listen, like, I know there's realtors out there that don't even want to work with a for sale by owner. And this is kind of a hot take. It is, but like, they perceive that as holding that they're going to have to hold the hand of the seller through the entire transaction, and they don't want to deal with it. And I'm going to be honest with you, that's not how I operate. If my client shows me a home and this is the one, I'm going to take them to go look at it. But like, the harsh reality is that's not the case. They see that for sale by owner and they're like, I'm not touching that. Let's find something else. And for sale by owners, they just take so much longer because of that marketing aspect, because they don't have somebody in their corner that's constantly marketing their property.
Exactly.
And I haven't even gotten to when you go under contract. Like, this is all listing and marketing and pre-list. Then you go under contract, and there's so many negotiations that are happening right? I
Mm.
mean, just in the purchase contract alone, we have sales price, those seller concessions I mentioned earlier, those credits,
Yep.
items and appliances that might go along that might be included in the sale. And those are just in the purchase contract. Then you have repairs. And, what if somebody wants you to replace their entire AC unit? Like, how are you going to
Yeah.
handle that? You don't have
Exactly.
anybody in your corner negotiating for you. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we have years of experience of doing this, of negotiating. And I mean, and then there's the whole aspect that we are executing a legal document.
Right.
We take on as realtors a lot of responsibility legally,
Mm-hmm.
and we're getting compensated for that, because if something goes sideways, that comes back on us.
Right.
And frankly, like, that's what we're getting compensated for, is that responsibility that we're taking on.
Yep.
But playing devil's advocate, I
Yeah.
lived in Utah in that market. It was nuts. The market
Yep.
was on fire, and I mean, homes were listing on Wednesday, and by Saturday they were under contract. Like, we
Dang.
we put an offer on a home. It was 50,000 over asking. We didn't even hear back.
Oh.
I called the listing agent. I'm like, what's going on?
Right.
They had 42 offers come in over the weekend. 42. So
Dang.
you know what? Like, maybe there is a time and place in that kind of market. If you want to
Right.
try it out, I mean, I would never recommend it, but like, I can see why people say, like, yeah, I had a success story.
Right.
But in this
Absolutely.
market, Chris, like, we're not even close to what that
Yeah.
market is.
I can
And
imagine.
so there's absolutely no way in good conscience that I would recommend doing a for sale by owner.
Yeah, and I mean, just when I was getting ready to move from Louisiana to out here to the Phoenix area, my realtor in Louisiana, she's a great friend of mine, I would say. She's all over my Facebook and things like that. She does a very great job. And what caught my attention was when our home went on the market, the following week, she did an open house, but
Mm-hmm.
my wife and I was actually cleaning the home before she got there, but she got there 2 hours early and she came in with like charcuterie boards, cupcakes,
Mm-hmm.
snacks, water bottles. And I'm like, wait, you did this? Like you doing all this?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wow, I didn't know you do all of that. So I'm like, man, she's spending her own money just bringing people in and she's posting it on Facebook. And then she went and got
Mm-hmm.
the open house signs and she went like 2 miles outside of the neighborhood, leading people to the open house. And our home was probably sold in maybe 3 weeks or something like that. So, realtors actually do a lot of work to sell your home. And in my opinion, I think two things pop up into my head when I hear for sale by owner, which again, I'm not talking down on that. It's great if you want to do it, but I think it's people like you mentioned who have this imaginary number in their head that they want to sell their home for that is probably way over the appraisal amount because they just have a agenda made up. They need this amount of equity if they can sell this home for this magic number
Mm-hmm.
and they can use that to pay off debts and move and whatever. So that's one thing. But the second thing, which I could be wrong, I just feel like those listings, they're not willing to pay the buyer's agent or the buyer fees. So a lot of times,
Mm-hmm.
buyers in this economy, majority of them may want some of their closing paid. They may want their realtor fee paid. What would a buyer do if they are attracted for this for sale by owner listing? It is the perfect listing. It's the right amount of bedrooms. The pool and backyard setup is 10 out of 10. And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, Jamie, yeah, I can go get this new bill, or maybe you can help me with this other resale home. But this is the home that I want. However, I was not expecting to pay your realtor fee or your 3%. I was just expecting this to come out of the buyer's equity. I mean, the seller's equity. How would that situation play out with a homeowner or a home buyer? My bad.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Chris. And
Yeah.
in this, there's been some changes as far as realtors go. As the
Hmm.
norm used to be kind of the sellers would pay both agent commissions, and now that's not always the case. And so in this for sale by owner situation, I mean, I go over this with my buyers whether or not it's a for sale by owner. I
Yeah.
We sign what's called a buyer broker agreement, a
Yep.
BBA.
Yep.
And I sit down with my buyers and I say, listen, like, this is what I charge to
Mm.
be your realtor. And so in a scenario one, The seller, we're going to ask them to pay that. And
Yep.
scenario one, they pay it. That's great. Scenario two, if I'm charging you 3% and they offer 2.5%,
Yeah.
what do we do? And let me tell you what we're going to do. Like, we can come back and say, and we can negotiate. And that's when a realtor really comes into play, is because I've been negotiating for a long time. Chris, my
Oh,
oldest son
wow.
is 11 years old. Like,
Yeah.
I've been negotiating with toddlers, but I don't,
Right.
negotiating with adults is a little different, but
Yeah.
it's the same thing. Like, I'm in their corner, I'm negotiating for them. But if they're hard
Yep.
and fast, we're going to pay 2.5, we're going to pay 0.
Hmm.
Yeah. Like, what do you do? So it depends. It depends on the realtor, how I'm going to handle it. If it's a 0.5%, I'm not going to nickel and dime my buyer for it.
Yeah.
I value my time. I don't want to discredit the service I'm doing, but other times you can get creative with financing, and
Hmm.
if the appraisal comes over, sometimes you can adjust things and make sure your
Yep.
realtor's still getting paid. So it's a case by case basis for sure. But it puts our buyers in a sticky situation, because the last thing I want is to put them in that financial hardship to pay me on
Absolutely.
top of moving costs and closing costs and the home
Hmm.
inspection costs and all the things that come up. And that's not including everything else that they already have going on in their life.
Absolutely. Yeah. Do you think that the industry is different these days when it comes to buying a home? Because decades ago, right, it used to be the realtor would send emails and all the listing links and things like that to the buyer. But maybe I'm only speaking for myself because I did this. I actually found my current home and I sent it to my realtor. I'm actually, like I said, I'm a business owner. Before I started my business here in the credit industry, I was actually a car salesman. So I'm all about being loyal to my realtor. I'm all about being loyal to my loan officer. And I had this conversation with them, and I'm like, look, I know I've only emailed you once, but in my book, that's a contact. You responded to me. You kind of shared some of the areas I should be aware of, etc. However, my wife and I, we were just watching YouTube, and these Meritage videos would pop up. And I actually reached out to the team at Meritage, scheduled my showing or whatever with the sales rep, which my realtor was like, "Hey, I wouldn't advise going there without a realtor." But I'm like, "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
I got you. Just I got it." But I actually went and toured the home. My wife and I, we liked it. We checked out the property and everything. This is the home we want. But the very first thing I said was, "Hey, I am represented by a realtor, by the way. This realtor did do her work, so we are going to include
Mm-hmm.
her in this deal," which the builder pays the commission either way.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm very loyal when it comes to my realtors and things like that. But what I'm getting at, do you think the industry is different and it feels like more of your customers are sending you the home that they want to look at? Is that kind of how the market is transitioning into?
Yeah, I mean, the world of online shopping has certainly made things convenient for everybody. Times have changed. I mean, even in the MLS, I put in search parameters. I put in, bedroom, bathroom, list price, a few other things. And then I set up a subscription. And anytime a home comes on the market within those parameters,
Hmm.
like, it shoots me an email, it shoots them an email.
Okay.
And so they take a look at it. They send me what they like.
Yep.
If a home price
Yeah.
changes, we get notified. A new home is listed, we get notified. So
Yeah.
I think it definitely depends on the situation and the buyer and their personality. Like, I'm working with a couple right now, first time home buyers. They are psyched. They are super excited and they're proactive. I mean, they are looking at homes constantly in their free
Yeah.
time. So
Yeah.
they're doing that aspect of my job for me. They'll
Yeah.
send me homes. They say, these are, I say, okay, what day are we going to look at homes? They send me the homes. I route it and I make the request.
Hmm.
But I'm still checking the MLS for them, because
Okay.
I don't know if they're looking at everything. I know what they like. I've seen enough homes with them
Right.
that I know what they like, what they don't like. And so I'm still
Hmm.
talking to other realtors in my network. I mean, I had a realtor at my brokerage for this couple. She told me she had a home that was just about to be listed. It hadn't even hit the market yet. And I said, hey, let's go take a look at this. And so
Oh,
there's still a
wow.
benefit for realtors that are, still doing that aspect of
Yeah.
their job, that are looking out for their clients and their best interest.
Right.
So I definitely think it's important for realtors to be proactive, whether their buyers have that personality or not, because our clients are trusting us. And I don't think I would be doing my job properly if I just said 100%, like, you guys send me what you want to see, and I'll make it happen. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Well, Jamie, I think we're going to wrap up this episode. I have one final question, which kind of relates more towards me when I first moved out here. Do you get a lot of buyers that are coming from out of state? And what do you recommend for that buyer? Do you think they should do short-term leasing or a short-term rental for maybe 6 months, 8 months, maybe a year before they jump into a mortgage moving from out of state? Or do you think in this day in life where a lot of stuff is virtually, you can do virtual home tours, which my realtor did when we were still here in Louisiana, kind of just showing us different areas, different properties, things like that. Do you think it's just safe to jump into a brand new home like being silly, did my wife and I? But look, we haven't had any issues and we're loving it. So, what is your opinion on that? If you were to get a buyer from out of state right now today, and they're like, "Hey, Jamie, we're ready to buy, but I don't know if we should buy as soon as we move out there in our home sale and we get out there to Phoenix, or should we do a short-term rental for a few months?" What is your advice on that?
That's a great question. I mean, if you don't know this about me by now, I'm not a one size fits all person. It
Yep.
is so case by case for me, because not everybody's the same, you know?
Hmm.
So I can't just apply a policy to everybody. So I think it's super important to know the area you're buying in. So if
Yep.
somebody came to me, they're moving from out of state, want to move to Phoenix, I would say, why? Tell me
Yeah.
why you want to move here. And
Yep.
when they start saying, because we have kids and the schools, and I would say, okay, great. Like, let's find out more about that, you know? And so I
Hmm.
want to know why they're moving here, and then I can help them further.
There you go.
So whether that means, you come out for a few days, I think it's super important that you get a feel for the area. So if you can come
Hmm.
out for a few days, great. If that means, getting a short-term rental or even renting 6 to 12 months, it's just going to depend on their situation and their life. Like when I was an out-of-state buyer, Chris,
Yeah.
I came
Yeah.
from Utah in
Yeah.
2023, and I actually flew down for just a couple days,
Yeah.
checked out the area. My husband totally trusted me through the process, and I picked out our house. He did not see our house until 2 days before we closed on it.
Wow.
But I went to the Walmart. I went to a few restaurants.
Hmm.
I drove by the schools I wanted my kids to attend. I joined the local Facebook groups because
Yep.
I wanted that understanding of where I was going to be moving. So then when we went under contract, I felt like I had a good understanding.
Right.
But I have 3 kids. The last thing I want to do is move somewhere and then a month or 2, 6 months later, move again.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
a headache. That's
And a
not what
lot of
I wanna
money.
do.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly, exactly. So I don't know where somebody's gonna be at financially or in their life with their
Hmm.
family. So it's gonna vary so much. But we actually just closed a deal last week with a couple moving from Washington State,
Mm.
completely sight unseen. Completely.
Wow.
They visited our area. My co-agent did a virtual tour with them, and we had that foundation of trust, and they knew that we were going to take care of them. They
Yeah,
trusted
for
us to
sure.
handle it. They showed up, loved their house, and we made it happen. So it's
Absolutely.
doable. And so to answer your question, totally depends, and you just got to find somebody you trust.
There you go. Yeah, I actually have a lot of family members who I wouldn't say thought it was silly or unsafe, but especially like some of my closer friends, they're like, have you ever lived in Phoenix? Have you ever been to Arizona? And I'm like, well, I mean, we've been to Vegas a few times, and like I said, my wife loves all the nature stuff, and I think we went to the Grand Canyon here, and then I think we went had a layover in Phoenix, and the flight ended up getting canceled to go back to New Orleans. So we actually spent the night in Phoenix, but we just stayed like downtown. We've been to Scottsdale once, which that's a whole different price range. But
Mhm, mhm.
so I mean, we've been around the area, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's a big city for me, and then for her, she can look at all her nature stuff. So, but a lot of people was like, no, man, before you buy a home, you need to just rent there. But me being in the financial space, I'm like, look, I don't have a reason to rent. I much rather just buy, start building equity, like you just mentioned earlier in this episode. And I'm set. And look at them, look at me now. Like I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars towards the principal just in the first 7 months that I've been here. And as the neighborhood continues to get builders, since it is a new build when it gets bigger,
Mhm.
the value is just going to keep increasing on this home. So, I guess it could go any way, like you said, but for me, I have no issues after moving from out of state and going straight into a new home. So that answers that. But yeah, Jamie, I definitely want to thank you again for joining. The very last thing I have is actually for our audience, if they are interested in connecting with you to help them buy a home in the Phoenix Metro Valley or whatever you want to call it. I'm still getting the getting used to the word valley because I'm not used to using that. So is valley, and I may sound dumb, is valley just the bowl of mountains, I guess?
Yeah, area between two mountains. So, I mean, in
Okay.
Phoenix, you've got the little hills popping up everywhere. So, I guess it's a
Okay.
valley now.
Okay, sure. Okay, the valley. Anyone that's moving into
Yeah.
the valley, how would they find you? What is the best way to contact you, or how do you want them to contact you?
Yeah, for sure. I would love to work with anybody here in the Phoenix Metro, Phoenix Valley.
Mhm.
So yeah, give me a call. It's at 801-623-7253.
Yep.
It's Jamie Owen Real Estate. So Jamie Owen Real Estate at gmail.com.
Yep.
Find me on Facebook or Instagram, Jamie
Yep.
Owen Real Estate.
Yeah, there you go. And I'll also be sure to insert maybe your business card in the video as well. For the people who are watching this on YouTube, 80% of the people these days listen to this on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and things like that. But yeah, that is all for this one. I'm so happy again you're able to join us, Jamie. Thank you so much again. You have answered a lot of questions that maybe I myself was curious on as well. So I definitely thank you for joining this one. Okay.
Yeah, Chris, this was awesome. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for the opportunity. It was great. I feel like, if you ever need anything down the line, let me know. This has been awesome.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in to this episode. If you wish to be a guest on our podcast, visit sturgiscreditrepair.com and click the podcast page to schedule an episode. If you need help with your credit, you can also sign up at sturgiscreditrepair.com and start your free trial today.
Sturgis Credit Repair. Sturgis Credit Repair. If you want a new house, call us. If you need a new car.